It was 4:23 on a Wednesday afternoon, and the fluorescent lights in the break room made my coffee taste like chemicals. I stirred it anyway, even though I hadn't put sugar in it, even though I hadn't really planned to drink it. Outside the window, the sky was too blue for a day like this. My name badge felt heavier than usual on my chest, like it knew something I didn't. The paper slipped under the door right as I turned my back. Not an email, not a call, not a meeting. A printed memo slid across the cracked linoleum like we were still in the 90s and someone was scared to say it out loud. I've worked at Crawford Distribution Center No. 19 for 8 years. Not the longest, not the shortest. Just long enough to know the sound of the conveyor belt when it's 30 seconds from a jam. Long enough to remember when we had real gloves and not the thin ones that tear if you look at them sideways. My job, forklift operator. Certified, recertified, retrained every 2 years on safety protocols they never follow. I'm one of the older guys now. Not by age, but by wear. There's a kind of mileage that doesn't show up on your birth certificate. And I used to do overtime. Voluntarily. Always stepped up when they needed Saturday help or overnight shifts during peak season. My girlfriend Jess hated it, but she understood. We had plans. Save for a down payment, maybe a wedding eventually, maybe a move out of this county altogether. Overtime was my way of buying time for our future. So when I picked up that piece of paper, when I read what it said, it felt like someone took all that time I'd traded, balled it up, and tossed it in the trash without asking. Effective immediately, all overtime has been suspended. That was it. 12 words. No explanation, no apology, no recognition that for people like me, that extra time wasn't just bonus pay. It was the gap between making it and not. I turned to look at Darnell, one of the dock loaders I'd been working with since he was 19. He was already holding his own copy. "They're serious?" he asked, like I had some kind of inside track. I didn't, but I nodded. For context, we weren't union. That had been shot down years ago by promises of quarterly bonuses and open-door policies that never opened. We had flexible scheduling, code for "you'll work when we tell you." And we had a site manager named Kyle, who wore loafers in the warehouse and carried a tablet like it gave him authority. Kyle wasn't a bad guy, just the kind that only noticed you when your numbers dropped. I hadn't spoken more than 5 words to him in 2 months, but now I had a reason to. A damn good one. I left my coffee sitting on the table and walked straight across the floor, past the sorting bays, past the pallets that were always stacked too high, straight into Kyle's office. He wasn't there. The assistant, Morgan, fresh out of college and he's too scared to make eye contact, said he was on a call. I asked her with who. She didn't know, so I waited. 5 minutes, 10. The memo was still in my hand, crumpled now. When Kyle finally walked in, he didn't look surprised to see me. That pissed me off more than the memo did. "Hey," he said, setting his tablet down like we were going to talk about lunch orders. I figured someone might have questions. "Only one," I said. "Why?" He sat down and gestured to the empty chair. I didn't sit. "There's been some restructuring at corporate," he said, like that answered anything. "Cost optimization measures. We had to make a few tough calls." "Without warning?" "It's above my pay grade," he said, even though we both knew he made 3 times what I did. I won't pretend I stayed calm. I asked him if corporate planned to reduce rent for the month, if grocery stores were restructuring their prices, if the gas station would take apologies instead of cash. He didn't respond. So I said what I probably shouldn't have. If overtime's gone, so am I. And I walked out, mid-shift. It was a long walk to my car. No one stopped me, not even Darnell, though I could feel his eyes on my back. My boots thudded against the concrete louder than they should have. Each step sounded final. When I got to the parking lot, my hands were shaking. Not from rage, not exactly, from something messier. That moment you realize you've crossed a line you can't uncross, and there's no backup plan waiting for you. Jess didn't know yet. She thought I'd be working till 9. The ride home was quiet. I didn't turn the radio on, didn't call anyone, just drove the 2-lane stretch past the truck stop, past the old diner that used to serve real pie, past the high school where they held a job fair last spring that no one from my warehouse was invited to. My phone buzzed twice in my pocket, but I ignored it. I knew who it was. Kyle, maybe HR, or Darnell, or Jess, or no one at all. When I pulled into the driveway, the house looked smaller than I remembered. Probably just the angle, or the way the porch light flickered. I sat in the car for 5 full minutes before I got out. Jess was inside, working from home. She freelanced for some content agency, SEO articles and product descriptions. Not glamorous, but she was good at it. She kept us afloat when things got lean. Today, I'd made them leaner. She was on the couch, laptop open, earbuds in. She looked up and frowned. "You okay? You're back early." I stood there too long before answering. "They cut overtime," I said. "No notice, just gone." She blinked. "Wait, so you're off for today, or—" I walked out. A beat. Like, "Quit?" I nodded once. She closed the laptop slowly, like she was afraid of making the wrong move. "Babe," she said soft, "I know that job sucked. I know it wasn't fair, but I know we need that income. I know." She didn't yell, didn't cry, just sat there, looking at me like she was trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. That night, we didn't talk much. We ate leftover pasta. She watched her shows. I pretended to look at job boards, but my mind kept circling back to the warehouse. Not to Kyle, not even to the memo, to Darnell, to the look in his eyes when I walked away. Like, maybe I wasn't just quitting a job. Maybe I was leaving something else behind too. The next morning, I woke up before Jess. The room was dim, just a trace of sun pushing through the blinds. For a moment, I forgot. Forgot the memo. Forgot the walkout. Forgot the look on her face. But the stillness reminded me. No alarm. No steel-toed boots at the edge of the bed. No rush to pack a lunch or check the loadout list. Just me and the dull pressure in my chest. I made coffee, quietly. The kind Jess likes. 2 sugars, oat milk. I didn't touch mine. My stomach felt too tight. The kitchen light buzzed overhead, and I made a mental note to fix it, knowing I wouldn't. Not today. She came in 20 minutes later, still in her robe, hair tied up. "You sleep?" she asked. "Some," I lied. She took the coffee, sipped, then leaned against the counter. "You gonna call someone?" she said. "HR? Kyle?" "I don't know. Maybe they'll reverse it." I shook my head. "Even if they did, Jess," I walked out mid-shift. "That's not something they'd just look past." She nodded slowly, her eyes on the floor. "We'll figure it out," she said, but her voice didn't sound sure. I spent most of that day on the couch, pretending to job hunt. And I mean pretending. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know where to start. My resume hadn't been touched in 5 years. I didn't even have a LinkedIn. The last time I applied for a job, I'd printed it out and handed it in wearing my only decent pair of jeans. I looked at listings. Delivery associate, warehouse lead, maintenance tech 2. All of them wanted immediate availability and flexible hours. Some were overnight. Some were farther than I could afford to drive. Most paid less than I made before the overtime. None of them felt like a step forward. By lunch, Jess asked if I wanted to go out for a walk. "Get some air," she said. So we did. There's a trail near the old water tower where kids tag the sides with graffiti that tries to be profound. Stuff like, "Time is a lie," or "Trust no one." That day, someone had painted a giant red X with the word "grind" in the middle. I stared at it longer than I meant to. Jess noticed. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. Another lie. It wasn't about pride, really. It wasn't even about the money, though we needed that too. It was the principle, the disrespect, the way they made a decision that changed my life, our life, and didn't even look me in the eye when they delivered it, like I was a replaceable part on a line they could retool at will. I kept thinking about Darnell and Javier and Alonzo and the women in packing who came in an hour early every day to get the good stations. What would they do now? The next few days blurred. I applied to jobs, real ones this time. Got a call from a landscaping company, but it was seasonal and paid cash. Jess said we should keep looking for something more stable. I emailed a contact from my forklift cert class, but the warehouse he worked for had just laid off 10 people. One night, Jess mentioned her cousin's husband worked in logistics for Amazon. I said I'd rather scrub toilets than wear their logo. She didn't push back, but the air between us thinned. On the 5th day, Darnell called. I almost didn't pick up. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want pity or updates or reminders of what I'd walked away from. But I answered. "Hey," he said. "Hey." A pause. "Things are rough here," he said. "Kyle brought in temp guys. Whole line's jacked up. Productivity's down 10%. I didn't say anything. He filled the silence. Job's talking about quitting too. Says if they can screw you like that, they'll screw all of us. I rubbed my face. My hand smelled like the old hand soap from the break room, citrus and chemical. "Don't do that," I said. "Don't quit over me." Another pause. "I'm not," he said, "but you leaving shook people." That night, Jess and I argued. Not a shouting match, just quiet jabs that felt sharp in the dark. She asked what the plan was. I said I didn't have one yet. She asked when I'd stop sulking. I said I wasn't sulking. I was processing. She said, "That's what sulkers say." Then we went to bed with our backs turned. A week later, I got a call from HR. Voicemail, actually. "Hi, Mr. Reyes. This is Angela from Crawford HR. We wanted to follow up regarding your abrupt departure last Wednesday. If you'd like to schedule an exit interview or discuss any ongoing concerns, please give us a call back." I played it twice, then I deleted it. Not out of anger, just certainty. There was nothing left to discuss. They made a call. I made mine. Still, something lingered. Like maybe I owed it to the others to do more than just vanish. To at least tell the story. To name what happened. I started writing it down, not for revenge, not to go viral, just to record it, line by line, memory by memory. The look on Kyle's face, the feel of the memo in my hand, the clack of my boots walking out. Maybe someday I'd post it online, or maybe I'd just keep it in a drawer. But I wasn't done yet. Jess started taking more freelance jobs. I picked up weekend work at a local garage, under the table. We adjusted, but the question kept echoing. Was walking out worth it? Every time I saw that memo in my mind, I knew the answer. Yes. Because dignity has a cost. And sometimes the price is everything else. I was patching a tire behind Donnie's auto, sweat sticking my shirt to my back, when I heard someone shout my name across the lot. "Reyes!" The voice was too familiar. I turned slow, squinting past the glare. Javier, from the warehouse. He still wore the safety orange vest, though it looked looser now, like he'd lost weight or just stopped caring how it fit. He held a Gatorade in one hand, his phone in the other. "Dude," he said, walking up, I thought that was you. Hey, man. We shook hands. The kind of grip that holds a history. He smelled like diesel and frustration. You working here now? He asked. Just helping Donnie on weekends. Tires, light stuff. He whistled. Better than sweating under Kyle's thumb, I bet. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, yeah, he said. It's been chaos since you left. They brought in this guy, temporary shift lead named Mark, who thinks shouting equals leadership. The line's slower. Kyle's more uptight. Morale's in the toilet. I didn't gloat, didn't smile, just nodded once. You hear about Alonzo? No. He quit last week. Didn't even give notice. Just left his badge on the desk and dipped. I blinked. That makes 4, Javier said. 4 walkouts in 2 weeks. That night, I told Jess about it. She listened while typing an email. That's good, right? She said. Depends. On whether they notice or care. She glanced up. Would you go back if they asked? It was the first time she'd said that out loud. I didn't answer right away. It wasn't simple. Walking out had given me some control, but it hadn't solved anything. We were still behind on the electric bill, still eating ramen and frozen burritos 3 nights a week, still dancing around the topic of how long can we last like this? Jess had started writing for lower-paying clients just to fill the gap. I caught her editing a 3,000-word product list for socks. Socks? At 2 cents a word. She never complained. But I noticed her rubbing her wrist more, like the typing was catching up to her. I started looking again. Jobs I'd overlooked the first time. Stuff I wouldn't have considered when I still had overtime. That's when I found one. Shipping and receiving coordinator, Westmore Medical Supplies full-time. Monday to Friday. Starting pay was lower, but it had benefits. Real ones. I applied. Got a call the next day. Interview set for Thursday at 10. Jess was cautiously hopeful. She helped me pick a shirt. Pressed my slacks. Even braided her hair the way she did when she wanted good energy in the house. You'll kill it, she said. I nodded, tying my shoes. Still feels weird. What does? Starting over at 38. She paused, then kissed my cheek. Starting over is better than staying stuck. The interview was at a small brick building tucked behind a strip mall. The receptionist offered me coffee. I declined. A woman named Darlene came out. Mid-50s, sharp glasses, kind eyes. We sat in a conference room with a flickering ceiling light and a half-dead fern in the corner. She asked about my experience. I told her about Crawford, the forklift cert, the inventory systems, the holiday surges. Then she asked the question I'd been dreading. Why did you leave your last job? I took a breath. Overtime was cut without warning. I walked out mid-shift. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. I won't pretend it was the smartest move, but it was honest. She didn't flinch, just nodded once. We appreciate honesty here, she said. Then she told me they'd call by Monday. I didn't expect to hear back that same night. I was washing dishes when the phone buzzed. Jess answered it. Her eyes met mine halfway through the call, and her face lit up. They offered it? I mouthed. She nodded. They offered it. I started the next Monday. The first week was awkward. New names, new codes, new habits, but no Kyle, no clipboard people watching me from behind glass, no whispered threats about productivity metrics, just work and pay, and enough dignity to eat lunch in peace. On Friday, I got a text from Darnell. Kyle's gone. I stared at the message. Gone how? I typed back. Transferred. Word is regional management got sick of the turnover. Then, warehouse morale up. Still chaos, but different now, lighter. I sat with that for a while. That weekend, I drove past Crawford. Not on purpose, just instinct. The lot was fuller than usual. Probably a delivery backlog. I saw 3 new guys outside on smoke break. They looked young. One of them laughed and flicked his cigarette with the same motion I used to do. I didn't stop, didn't roll down the window, just nodded once to myself and kept going. That night, Jess and I sat on the porch. She was grading an article about meal kits. I was sipping a beer. "How's the new place?" she asked. "Better," I said. "They talk to us like people." "That's rare." "Yeah." She looked up from her screen. "Do you regret it? Walking out?" I thought about it. The memo, the silence, the heaviness in my boots. Then I shook my head. No, I needed to be seen, even if it meant being broke for a while. She smiled. "I see you." The Monday after my second week at Westmore, Javier texted again. "You got a sec?" I called him on my lunch break. My new workplace actually gave us a full 30 minutes without guilt tripping. A small but weirdly sacred change. Javier picked up right away. "Man," he said, "you'd think they'd learn, but nope. Guess what? Hit me." They offered a $10 gift card to anyone who covers an extra shift this week. No overtime, just a $10 card to Subway. I laughed. Not because it was funny, more like a laugh you cough out when your stomach's in knots. "That's insulting," I said. "Exactly. People are pissed, but they stay quiet. Kyle's gone, sure, but the system? Still the same." The warehouse might have cut me loose without a second thought, but my name didn't leave quietly. Darnell told me later they called it the walkout moment, like I'd started something I never meant to, like I became a symbol. It didn't feel heroic. It felt desperate. But maybe desperation is what wakes people up. Around that time, something strange happened. A local blogger reached out. Not anyone big, just someone who ran a small labor-focused blog. Blue-collar stories, warehouse workers, delivery drivers, retail employees. She had seen a Reddit comment I left. Not even the full story, just a sentence. "They cut our overtime without warning, so I walked mid-shift." She emailed me. "Hi, Adam. I'm writing about worker pushback and logistics. Would you be willing to talk off record?" At first, I ignored it. What good would it do? Rehashing a story that already lived inside my body every night when I couldn't sleep? But then I remembered what Jess said. Starting over is better than staying stuck. So I said yes. We met at a diner halfway between my new job and the old warehouse. She was younger than I expected. Late 20s maybe. Wore round glasses and had a battered notebook she scribbled in between bites of hash browns. Her questions were sharp but not invasive. She listened better than anyone at HR ever did. I told her about the memo, the silence, the boots, Jess, the porch, the guilt, the garage, and when I was done, she said, "You know you're not alone, right?" I nodded, though I wasn't sure I believed it yet. A week later, the article went up, when a forklift driver walked out mid-shift and others followed. It didn't go viral, didn't trend, but it spread. Slowly, quietly. 3 guys from the old crew messaged me. 2 women from packing added me on Facebook. Even Alonzo called. "Hell of a thing you did," he said. "Wish I'd done it first." I told him not to glamorize it, that I still wasn't sure if it was brave or just foolish. He said something that stuck with me. Foolish don't make people stand up. Brave does. The article made its way to Jess's feed, too. She didn't tell me at first. Just started tagging parts of our porch conversations in sticky notes. I found one on the bathroom mirror. "Dignity has a cost." Another on the fridge. "Sometimes the price is everything else." She turned my quotes into tiny mantras. Anchors. Maybe so I wouldn't forget. Or maybe because she hadn't heard me say anything that true in a long time. 2 months passed. Work at S. Westmore got steadier. I learned their inventory system, got used to their people, even started training new hires on Tuesdays, paid training by the hour. One afternoon, Darlene pulled me aside. "We're creating a new lead role," she said. "Interested?" I blinked. I'm only 2 months in. You show up, you do the work, you treat people right. That's rare. I told her I'd think about it. Then I went home, sat with Jess, and didn't think about it. I said yes the next morning. The day after the promotion, Darnell called. Guess what? He said. What's up? We're unionizing. I sat down. You serious? Started talking with the team after you left. Quiet at first. Now, momentum. I didn't know what to say. He added, You lit the fuse, man. Just thought you should know. Later that night, Jess and I drove out to the lake. It was a quiet spot we hadn't visited in years. She packed 2 sandwiches. I brought the same cooler I used on fishing trips with my dad. We didn't talk much, just watched the water. Somewhere across the lake, someone lit sparklers. Jess leaned her head on my shoulder. You feel it? She asked. What? That this part of life, the hard part, it's starting to let go. I didn't answer, but I did feel it. The first time I walked into the Westmore warehouse as a lead, I didn't wear anything fancy. Same work boots, same canvas jacket, same lunch in a beat-up thermos Jess refused to replace because she said it had character. The only thing different was the clipboard they handed me. It wasn't heavy, just honest. Like the first time someone tells you they trust you and you believe it. My first task wasn't about quotas or numbers. It was a conversation. Darlene had told me, before you tell anyone what to do, ask them how they're doing. So I did. I made the rounds. I learned Angela was saving for a used car. Marcus wanted to go back to community college. Ronnie brought his daughter's drawings and taped them to the inside of his locker. They weren't just coworkers. They were people. It shouldn't have felt revolutionary, but it did. I still thought about Crawford sometimes, about Kyle, about the memo, about how easy it had been for them to cut overtime like it didn't matter. Even though, for people like us, those extra hours were the difference between surviving and sinking. Jess called it corporate amnesia. They forget who keeps the place running, she said. So I didn't forget. Not at Westmore, not under my watch. Around that time, Darnell texted me again. Union vote passed. They got enough signatures. An election was coming. He sounded tired but hopeful, like a man who finally saw the horizon after years in fog. Wish you were here to see it, he wrote. You already made that part true, I replied. The blogger, her name was Marissa, emailed me again. She was working on a follow-up piece. This one about quiet change, not explosive walkouts, not viral moments, just regular people doing the next right thing. She asked if I'd be willing to talk again. I said yes. We met at the same diner, same booth, same flickering light. This time, I told her about Westmore, about the team, about the time Jess printed out a message I'd written in a text and taped it above her workspace. You don't have to light the whole world on fire to be heard. Sometimes, a quiet walkout is louder than a scream. The article came out a week later. The forklift driver who kept walking and built something better. I didn't expect anything to come of it, but 2 days later, I got an email from a high school teacher in Ohio, then a warehouse worker in Oregon, then a union organizer in Missouri who said they used the quote in a workshop. None of them knew me, but they felt what I'd felt, and maybe that was enough. Jess and I started sleeping better. Not rich, not carefree, but calm. She got a new client who respected deadlines. I stopped waking up at 4 a.m, thinking I'd missed my shift. We started going to the lake more, started talking about a dog, started sketching out what a 2-bedroom might look like, not as an escape, but as a choice. One Sunday, I ran into Alonzo at the hardware store. He looked healthier, smiled wider, said he was driving deliveries for a flower company now. That warehouse life nearly killed me, he said, half joking, then added, Glad you walked. Made me walk too. We shook hands. Stronger this time. like neither of us were holding back anymore. 6 months later, I got a letter, typed, formal, on Crawford Distribution Center letterhead. It was from HR, an offer. Due to recent organizational restructuring and feedback from former employees, we would like to offer you an opportunity to return to a revised role at Crawford DC number 19. Competitive salary, senior position, overtime guaranteed, benefits included. There was a number at the bottom, higher than I'd ever made with them. I folded the letter once, slid it into the drawer, didn't reply. Because here's the thing, I'm not angry anymore. Not at Kyle, not at Crawford, not even at the system, as broken as it is. But I'm not going back. Because walking out wasn't about quitting, it was about choosing. And I chose this life, not perfect, not flashy, but mine, built on quiet mornings, earned dignity, and work that doesn't steal my name badge just to remind me I'm disposable. The other day, Jess asked if I wanted to go see her parents. Long drive, weekend away. I used to say no to stuff like that, always chasing one more shift, one more hour. This time, I said yes, packed a bag, loaded the car, left my boots by the door. Because I don't have to earn rest anymore. I just have to remember that I already did. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real-life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.